Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Department of Ag board meeting. We'll call this regular meeting to order at this time. And would we all please stand for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time we'll take the moment. Personal reflection. Thank you. Juliana, would you please provide visual attendance reminders?
Yes, thank you. All attendees joining the meeting online via Microsoft Teams have been muted upon entry. Please keep your microphone on mute and use the raise hand feature until you are called upon to speak. To raise or lower your hand, click the raise hand icon and you will be called upon in order. Once called upon, locate the microphone icon in the meeting controls and toggle it to unmute yourself. If you are joining by phone, please press *5 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself when called upon. Again, if you're joining by phone, that's *5 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. And that concludes the virtual attendee of my notes.
Thank you. We'll now take a roll call, beginning with members of the Las Vegas office. Since you're the newest,
Jimmy Stevenson, the new guy representing pest control.
Debbie Gilmore, Special Needs Ops.
Laura Levy, Grazer.
Mackenzie Campbell, Petroleum.
Solon Baker, semi-range cattle production.
Brooke Newbauer, Supplemental Food.
Dave Cohn, dairy industry. That's it. Okay. All right. We'll now take roll of the board members in the Sparks office.
David Rowe, Nursery Division.
You're the only one there. Thank you. In the Alco office, please.
Pete Ferris, semi-range sheep operation. I'm the only one here.
And any that are board members joining us virtually.
Yes, Craig Shank, virtual from my comfortable office in Fallon.
Okay. We'll now take roll call of NBA staff here in Las Vegas.
Sarah Russell, Public Information Officer, Nevada Department.
Grace Liga, Deputy Administrator, Division of Plant Health and Compliance.
Megan Brown, Administrator, Plant Health and Compliance.
Bill Strajewski, Administrator, Division of Measurement Standards.
Patricia Hoppy, Administrator, Division of Food and Nutrition.
Pete Rawl, State Veterinary.
Chad Sestenovich, Administrator, Animal Industry.
Kathy Balkin, Administrator of Administrative Services Division. Eliana Hendricks, Executive Assistant.
Doug Ferris, Deputy Director.
JJ Goicoechea, Director.
Thank you. In the Sparks office.
Brittany Malley, Deputy Administrator, Food Nutrition.
Bob Rager, Deputy Administrator, Animal Industry.
Monica Barbosa, Administrative Assistant 4.
Okay. And did I call the Elko office? We'll now take roll call of the NDA staff joining us on Microsoft.
Richard Yadden, Attorney General for the Nevada Division of Agriculture.
Okay, now take roll call of members of the public joining us in Las Vegas.
Daniel Millette with BMaster Las Vegas Inc.
I'll take roll call of members in the public joining us in the Sparks office. Is the sound looking okay?
Simon Sulegi, just a citizen, visiting.
Okay. Public joining us in Elko.
Anybody there with you beating Elko in public?
No, there's nobody in the room.
Okay.
Okay. Roll call of members, public joining us virtually.
J.Z, if you could please unmute yourself and identify yourself for the record.
Okay, that concludes roll call, and I'll move on to public comment.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes, you
She can go through the list.
Yeah.
You want for you real quick?
I do. Yes, for the record, we also have Letty Elias, Maria D.C.M. Carrera. And that is all I see for public participants virtually.
Okay. All right, Juliana, if you can provide the announcements for public comment.
The Nevada Department of Agriculture has received no public comments in advance of this meeting. Anyone wishing to give public comment during this meeting will have 3 minutes. A timer will sound at the 3-minute mark, and that means we must move on to the next participant. Is there anyone here in Las Vegas wishing to give public comment?
I can comment on our industry. We've been in the bee business here for 20-some years. I'm a third-generation bee person and, of course, licensed through the department. And 5 years ago, we had 4 competitors in the pest control space that were unlicensed and advertised on lots of online advertisement. And now there's 18 direct competitors that are not licensed. And I have, with my wife, who's our owner, made complaints about this, but it affects us directly with, especially when people don't understand the dangers of Africanized bees carrying 80% bees instead of 80% honey, and how they split every 30 days instead of once a year, and compared to the agricultural variety of bees. So the beekeepers that have come from Idaho and Utah and Arizona that have had more domiciled bees to work with in their bee experience, they come here and work with these Africanized bees, and we have so many complaints that we clean up after other people. I could name a half a dozen illegal contractors, but that's not my objective. My objective is that it would be appreciated if the department would take interest in the illegal contractors for the bee industry, because when they open up a wall and let loose 500 million bees, we're getting reports of little old ladies and dogs, and the guys that are in the unmarked vehicles say, "Oh, bees get a bad rap." But you're dealing with a guy's got a monkey with a machine gun when you're working with these Africanized bees, and they have no remedy that's lasting, that's licensed through pest control. And so anything that they use is over the counter. And the difference between those remedies is anything you get over the counter, as soon as it dries up, it's gone. Whereas when we use a residual pesticide, it's 30 days, 90 days, or a year, depending on what you use. So they don't even have a remedy that'll last longer than a few hours. So it's a direct public safety issue, and I appreciate your attention in that matter.
Thank you, sir. Could you also identify yourself for the record?
I'm the operations manager for Bee Master Las Vegas, Inc. My name is Daniel Millett.
Seeing no other folks in Las Vegas for public comment, is there anyone in the Sparks office wishing to make public comment? No. Moving to Elko, no members of the public wishing to give public comment there. We will now take public comment from virtual attendees. If you are joining the meeting virtually and you would like to speak, please raise your hand and you will be called upon in order. Seeing no hands raised, that concludes public comment.
Okay, thank you, Julianne. Agenda item 3 is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Minutes have been posted. We trust everyone's had an opportunity to review them. Is there any discussion or is there a motion to accept the minutes as been given?
Second it.
Okay, and moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Now move to agenda number 4. This is a matter of business that we need to explain. We'll begin the agenda for a formal invitation to provide over this meeting in the absence of Chairman Snyder. That could not be here. And for background, in 2023, the board adopted a rule to designate the most senior member serve as acting chair in the absence of the chairman. If the most senior member of the board is not available, the responsibility passes to the next most senior member, and so on. At this time, Pete Paris is technically the most senior, second most senior member of the board. However, Pete is not attending the meeting today in Las Vegas. Therefore, the responsibility falls to me. If there's anyone that has an objection to that, I guess we can discuss it.
You can't object to yourself either.
So proceed with board member updates. Highlights of our industries, trends, issues that pertain directly to who and what we represent. So would like to begin in Las Vegas. And maybe we should start at this end because Jimmy hasn't been through this process before.
I'll have no objection to that.
Get you an idea to what we are reporting on. And I can say that, and maybe I'll start it off by saying in the dairy industry, things are in good shape for the state of Nevada now. As I've stated many times in here in front of the board, the Department of Agriculture does a wonderful job in maintaining some very instrumental regulations in the state pertaining to the dairy industry. And without that, we'd have far more problems than we hear about. So we're grateful for them following up and doing those things that they actually inherited from the State Dairy Commission some years ago. And when that was being discussed, we were very nervous about that as a member of the industry. And I know other industry members were nervous about it as well. And that, those things that had been worked so hard on through the legislature, maybe not being fulfilled. And that just hasn't been the case. So with our inspections, with those regulations that we have to adhere to, and our competitors all competing in the industry to make it a viable industry. It does no one any good when any of our competitors have quality issues or safety issues, because that's a reflection on the industry. So we're grateful for that support that we get. The dairy industry is working hard to introduce and to maintain some different products that are protein-based. And this is to compete with the non-dairy, the vegetable-based products that you see on the shelves at this time. So we are grateful to the Department of Agriculture, and we're pleased to have the opportunity to serve on the board.
So due to the government shutdown and the lapse of SNAP benefits, many of our food insecure neighbors were in sheer panic over the lapse of their benefits. Many SNAP recipients do heavily depend on the TPAP food, which is the Emergency Food Assistance Program. And just to paint a picture for you guys,
and I'm gonna reference it just in part, we're the largest distributor for Three Square Food Bank here in Southern Nevada. So, our experience, while it is larger than most of the agency partner, it kind of gives you a picture of, how many people are looking for services. During November 3rd to November 1st, in just 16 serving days, we served 64,000 individuals. And that was 18,150 households. And we served over 874,000 pounds of food. And these were all recipients of SNAP benefits that were just really heavily dependent on the safety net, as we know that SNAP and TFAP play such a crucial part of the safety net for food insecure Southern Nevadans. Also, just to share the average, during week 1, which was November 3rd, when folks did not have their SNAP benefits, we were averaging over 1,200 cars a day. And then we shut down for Thanksgiving break. We started serving again December 1st, and we're averaging between 475 cars a day and 424 cars a day. So what I think is happening is that there are a lot of people now very aware of where additional services are, which is wonderful that they now know where there's a safety net. But also, too, families are really struggling to catch up from the loss of being, out of work for federal governments. We served a lot of military families during this time. Military families that you would never think in a million years would have to lean on these food services because they are employed and they are serving our country. And so being able to introduce them now to through this emergency drive-through to the TFAP program has been really amazing. And we've had so many of them just say, I never knew this program existed. And they're just so grateful. So now they have, they know there's a lifeline between paychecks for them. And it's been really amazing during this crisis, being able to work with the team at the NDA. I've never seen in action the behind the scenes, but they were so quick to act, and it was just incredibly impressive. It was like that room in the White House, I'm sure, that where things go, the planning room or whatever it is. But I just want to say my hat's off to all of you, because it was amazing how quick you got everything activated. You guys, we wouldn't have been able to have the food and serve the 64,000 people along with the other agency partners. So very well done. And thank you guys so much for helping that come to fruition.
I might just say, having been able to take a tour, you're dealing with really nice people over there too. The way they treat the people who come in for the food. So it's anyone that has an opportunity to do that, that's time well spent.
Thank you so much. Yeah, anybody wants to come in for a tour, I would love to show you and show you the programs.
Tom Baker, semi-range cattle production. In our part of the state, we're still waiting on some good storms and hopeful that we get some moisture this winter. The ranges are in pretty poor condition right now. Not a lot of feed. People are having to feed a little more this winter than they expect to, or than they normally do. But we'll see what we get. The cattle market's gone up and down and different directions lately. We'll see where that ends up. We're curious about the New World screwworm. What you think may happen with that? But otherwise, we're thankful for the good market and waiting for some storm.
Thank you.
I'm Mackenzie Campbell, representing Petroleum for the record. Petroleum is doing well right now, as you have maybe noticed that we have seen a 5-year low in fuel prices at the pump, lowest prices we've seen since 2020, reflective of a lot of things going on in the market. Last board meeting, we were in preparation with NDA for AB 29, which is the bill that was passed to provide some consistency in pump prices. We've had little concerns and feedback from anybody in a negative way. So thank you, NDA, for the support on that bill. We are just as happy as you guys are, and I think everybody at the pump is as well. One thing that is new in our industry is Governor Lombardo has enacted a fuel resiliency subcommittee, which is starting right now, and we are bringing in many people from across the US and West Coast to be consultants on the subcommittee. Starting in Nevada, this is as an impact of what's going on with California. If refineries are closing down, Nevada is an island. We have a pipeline that ends in Reno. We have another pipeline in Las Vegas here. And other than that, there is not a lot of fuel supply. So we are addressing concerns with upcoming closures of these refineries that we will report on in the next coming board meetings.
Thank you. Marlon Higby, semi-graded. Southern end of the state has looked pretty good. We've got plenty of storm. In fact, and I haven't seen it so good. It looks like spring instead of winter. Thank goodness for some Indian summer where livestock picked up. Still have to feed some. There's spots, storms are spotty, and there's some areas that are still pretty dry. But I would like to take a moment and dispel some of the notion that the livestock producers are making a killing on the livestock industry at this time. The closure of our southern border of livestock was a wake-up call. We've been told by the large packers and the feed yards that we're producing, even though our numbers have went down by almost 70% in the last 30 years, that we were producing a larger animal, and so we were producing the tonnage that they were needed. That's BS. Because in the late 70s, early 80s, up through the 90s, absolutely. We went from a cow that averaged 700 to 800 pounds to a mother cow that was between 900 and 1,200 pounds. And therefore we had larger calves. So in that area, absolutely it went up. But our numbers keep going down, and you can't balance that. So when the border closed, the people that are supposed to be telling the USDA where our tonnage and all that is coming from, the emperor's clothes fell off. So you got the packers and feeders that have been lying to the federal government for years. And now all of a sudden we're caught in a situation where our numbers across the United States is lower than it was before World War II. And then they're screaming out, well, where's our numbers? Well, you can't import beef from other countries and call it U.S. beef and call it production in the United States, because it's not. We're not producing it here. And if something don't change, this is going to stay that way for a long time. Just saying.
Okay, thanks, Marlon.
Debbie Gilmore, representing Specialty Crops. I said that I would have some good news about these today. So just locally in northern Nevada, where we are, the bees are stronger going into winter this year than I have seen in the 20 years that we've been doing this. So that's very different than what was happening last year. Honey prices are still pretty high. So that's all good for our beekeepers. I appreciate you being here and input from the southern area. So thank you very much. One of the pests that is attributing to all of the bee losses in the United States is a Varroa destructor mite. There is another mite it started in Thailand. It's called the Tropolaelaps mite. And they say if it gets to the United States, it will be more devastating than the Varroa mite that we are dealing with now. So there is a coalition of a lot of national agencies that is putting in to protect our pollinators, but if the Tropolaelaps mite makes it to the United States, they are coming up with a plan to help beekeepers or to eradicate that. And I was talking with Jimmy, and he was talking about getting swarms off of airplanes. So they just stopped a ship coming in from Europe here just a couple of weeks ago. And there was a swarm of bees on the ship and they had Tropilatus mites on them. So it's going to be just a matter of time before it gets here. So I don't know if the department would like to come up with a plan for the state of Nevada if they happen to show up. So I'm hoping that maybe we can come up with a plan to protect beekeepers in the state of Nevada. Also, I'd like to thank NDA and specifically Megan and Ray for allowing me to have input into some of the changes that they are making. As far as beekeepers and bees in the state of Nevada, I think a lot of the information has been around for like many, many years, and they are getting that updated. So thank you very much for doing that. I also wanted to mention that there's a Nevada Farmers Forum in Reno on January 23rd and 24th at the UNR campus, and that is sponsored by the Desert Farming Initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. As a matter of clarification, is this a topic that we'll discuss after the reports? If there's any other comments to be made from the public.
We will have another public comment.
Yeah, we will.
Oh,
Yes.
For
okay.
public comment, absolutely.
Okay.
Jimmy Stevenson, representing the pest control industry. Just want to thank everyone at the NDA and board for welcoming me last night with open arms. Everybody was very nice and welcoming to me, so I appreciate that. From my understanding with the Nevada Pest Control Association and our guy Warren Hardy, there's been a great working relationship with the NDA. So we're very appreciative of that, with the provisional licensing going forward and still working through the labeling of application devices and some things, but it's a great working relationship. We want to keep that going. We appreciate that. Glad to see the gentleman from Beemaster here voicing his concerns. There is always and has been an issue of unlicensed guys in the pest control industry. I would encourage you and anybody else to fill out verified complaints with any evidence you may have, so the department has something solid to follow up on. That's very helpful from my understanding. Other than that, just looking forward to giving back to an industry that's supported my family for 30 years. So born and raised in Las Vegas, so is my mom. It was great connecting with Mr. Kuhn and yourself about the people my dad knew. My dad was a big rancher, farmer, cowboy, team roper, and my grandpa had one of the original propane gas companies in this town that blew up by Cashman Field back in the day. And if anyone's been around long enough, but great history in Las Vegas and Clark County. Just appreciate the opportunity.
Welcome.
Welcome, Jimmy. We're glad you're here.
We move to item 6.
You better let Pete.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
And Dave.
Okay, Sparks?
Well, in the nursery industry, things seem to be going adequately here for the year. There was notice that there was some red fire ants detected down at a nursery in Vegas, but that seems to be controlled. And I still have a number of people complaining about unlicensed landscapers that aren't carrying nursery sales certificates. So that's probably my biggest issue to report.
Thank you. Are there any others?
No.
Okay, Elko?
Yeah, Pete Paris, sheep representative for Nevada wool growers. Same as Tom Baker, we're definitely waiting for some storm in this part of the country. I think everywhere. For the first time, I've been in the sheep business for 55 years plus, born and raised in it. Range sheep operations are inside feeding hay. I have never seen that in my life. So that's a gloomy thought. And the prices were about less than half of what a calf price was this year, which I usually match. So that's been a tough one on the industry. We had our state convention or a state wool grower meeting at the Nevada Cattlemen's convention, as we do every year. There were 3 people in attendance: president, executive secretary, and the treasurer, and 1 wool grower showed up. We had several agencies come to discuss stuff with us. It was an embarrassment to me. I left there totally disappointed after watching something like that. This year, the National Wool Growers Meeting is going to be in Reno, in our state. And I am just totally depressed that we do not have more input from our wool growers across the state. I'm hoping for some good weather, and I'm hoping for people's attitude to change, but at this moment I am totally depressed with the sheep industry in the state of Nevada. Sorry to have that kind of a report, but that's basically what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Have we missed anyone?
Yeah, Dr. Shank representing veterinarians in the state and also Churchill County. Hopefully that you all had a good Thanksgiving. I guess I'd just like to report that Grandpa Shank just received another granddaughter here just 2 days before Thanksgiving. So that was a wonderful blessing to our family. You know, it's been a kind of an unusual fall. It just keeps going on and on. And my gauge of a killer frost is when my tomatoes finally die. And it's like the second week in November, they finally, the last one froze. But, you know, that's a blessing. The fact that, and with the rains that we got here just a few weeks ago, the alfalfa continued to grow. So there's a lot of stubble, a lot of regrowth that at least our local cattlemen can turn cattle out in these alfalfa fields and do pretty well. That'll kind of help their budget just a little bit. It did also, however, I think you've seen some of that in the counties to the east. Even though I consider myself somewhat retired, I've been showing up in places like Ely and Hyco and doing a little bit of work there for some producers that have asked that I come that way. But the problems we've run into is some of the growth that they're getting there, and they're turning cattle out in the fields. And we think we might have some respiratory issues in calves caused by what we call fog fever. We're still waiting for some results from the lab from that. But, you know, sometimes what looks like a blessing can not be a blessing if we're not careful. The corn crop was really good here in Churchill County. Lots of silage produced, and that'll help the inputs of these dairymen as they're producing their product. Hay prices down, roll corn prices are down, which the inputs are down. The price of milk is down a little bit too, but all in all, at least the dairy industry in this part of the state is comfortable, and I appreciate Dave's comments on the dairy industry. In regards to my responsibility to the veterinarians in the state, and just an update on Utah State University's veterinary program, the class of 40 students started late August, beginning their first class of veterinary students that will graduate in 2029. 2 students were represented from Nevada. A past Department of Agriculture board member, Boyd Spratling, who serves now on a board of Nevada Veterinary Medical Association, represented our state at the white coat ceremony for our 2 Nevada students. Next year, the class of 2026 that'll begin, they'll have 80 students. So they're going to double the number, 40 Utah students and 40 out-of-state students. And we hope that Nevada is well represented. We should be able to have, I think we're allowed 7 of those out-of-state students. The tuition for in-state students and WICHE students, which would be those potential Nevada students that would attend, is $27,000 a year, which is very, very affordable compared to a lot of veterinary programs. Most schools tuition is well above that. If you go to a private school, it can be over double that per year. So $60,000 to $70,000 a year for a 4-year program. Well, that's per year. These students get out of school with a formidable amount of debt. So this alliance that we have with the state of Utah is a real blessing for our students, our young men and young women that would like to become veterinarians. There's an opportunity to get into an affordable program. Utah State University hopes to be fully accredited by 2028. That's their plan. So I think as board members and as we interact with these high school students or even younger elementary students that want to become a veterinarian, let's help them pursue the dreams. By the time they get out of school, there are a lot of programs, assistance to help them get established in these underserved rural communities, and perhaps our state veterinarian and JJ can comment a little bit on the underserved areas that have been set aside. I think Lincoln County and Lander County. So if we have some kids in those counties, especially or Nevada students anywhere that want to come practice in a rural area that's underserved, they can get some assistance in getting set up in those areas. There's another veterinary school that is starting in Nevada. They are having an open house on February 26th. That's Roseman University. That'll be in Las Vegas. I don't know a lot about how many students they'll be accepting, but they are pursuing accreditation through the American Veterinary Medical Association. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations. On your new role. Okay, we're ready for the director's report.
All right, well, thank you, and thanks everyone that made the trip down to Las Vegas, and I will be leaving shortly after this, because I've had enough of the South, no offense to me. A lot of people down here, and a little bit of heat, so. You guys have a copy of my report, and just as in the past, I'm not gonna go through it line by line. You guys can read, I'm gonna hit on a few highlights and then make some additions as well. One thing that was not on here that only came to fruition at the end of the week is I did have a meeting with Secretary Rollins, USDA Secretary Rollins yesterday. And a lot of ongoing conversations there. I've already hit on some, where we're at in the beef industry is obviously a hot topic, especially for those of us in Nevada. USDA is, they've kind of rolled out a plan, I guess, if you will, to stabilize the beef industry. It looks good on paper. But we all know it's going to take some action. We can talk about it all we want. You are right, Martin, the closing of our southern border had a significant impact. Roughly 1 million head a year across that border and come in to the United States, feeder cattle, and it's been closed for quite some time. It was open for about 72 hours before they closed it again. Are you going to give an update on screwworm feet later? Do you want me to just touch on it now?
You can hit briefly. You're on it. Go for it.
Okay, so obviously the New World screwworm is what's keeping that closed, and I'll let Pete weigh in here. But part of the conversation yesterday was a phased reopening of that border and when and what that will look like. We did have a new detection that was announced yesterday, 120 miles south of the border, and the Nuevo Leon. Again, these are not the flies themselves moving that far north. These are cattle movements. And so the cattle are moving into these feeding operations in Nuevo Leon, and they're being missed as they're being inspected farther down in Mexico. So They thought they were stage 3, maybe 4, is what we heard yesterday. I don't know if you heard any differently the day that they did detect on that animal. They've been releasing sterile flies there already. So in the event they do continue to miss and these larvae do turn in to the actual fly, we're hoping the sterile flies will keep them contained there. They have not captured any in the native screwworm or the fly. Wildlife surveillance continues to still look good. I say that because I think Texas will be the last to open their borders back up, just because that threat, everything's funneling there. There is a lot of pressure from Arizona to open their border crossings. They want theirs open. And the secretary is non-committal. She's just not ready yet to make that call. They don't feel they have the data and things in place. But if I had my crystal ball and I didn't have a crack in it, I would expect sometime after the first of the year, we will see limited movement of Mexican cattle back across the border in Arizona sometime in the next few weeks. That will probably lower the beef price on the ground at the ranchers first. We're not going to see a significant impact at the grocery store. We're not. Barnum's right. Our inventory is damn near an all-time low. We were at 1951 levels last year. We are late 30s, early 40s level now for cattle inventory. Heifer retention numbers have not caught up. We thought they would. This year, we're seeing a few heifers retained, but guys are paying down debt. And that's where it's at. And then when you have places like drought, you heard Mr. Paris talk about it, Bart and Tom, and we're a pretty tough part of the state. You take that Highway 50 corridor, I've never seen it look so bad. And those guys aren't holding cattle. They're just not. And when these heifers are worth $2,500, it's pretty hard to hold on there. And when you have debt, you don't know if you're going to have the feed next year, and that's what's happening. So we'll continue to work with the secretary on that. We had some conversations around SNAP. While we do not oversee that program through Patricia and Brittany's division, obviously, as Brooke mentioned, that takes up a lot of space right now. And what that's going to look like, and what that reporting is going to look like, and what any new changes might be. And then we don't know if there'll be another government shutdown. Now, I will tell you, if there is another government shutdown, the one good thing is to keep in mind USDA was fully funded. So that continuing resolution that went through that reopened the government, they were one agency that's funded for the year. So they have their entire funding now. So it will not be the same. We don't have the funding. If they happen to furlough people or whatever, I don't know what that argument will look like, because they do have the money to pay them. So we will continue to work on that. And then I'll let Pete address some other things as far as iPad that you can weigh in on, screwworm, anything I missed there. We have a plan, obviously, of what we're going to do when it gets in the country, in an adjacent state, or in our state. I also had an opportunity to meet with Secretary Rollins when I was in Rogers, Arkansas for NASDA. That was a really good meeting, National Associated State Departments of Ag. Good networking there. Just everybody's kind of in the same boat. Thankfully, we don't have a lot of row crop in Nevada, because row crop guys are taking it in the shorts right now. Lentils are down, beans are down, all of that stuff. There is some talk yesterday again of what a payment program is going to look like for farmers. So we could see some of that in Nevada, obviously, as we get into the Churchill, Lyon County areas where we are producing some produce. But as Secretary Rollins said, our farmers don't want to work for a check. They want to work for their products. And so we've got to figure out some way to open up those markets just a little bit. A little bit closer to home, I did have the opportunity to tour Brooks Just One project. I was day before yesterday, right? Let's start the week starting a little bit. Just an amazing program and project that they have. And if you guys have the opportunity, I highly encourage you to go and visit her and her team and see the great work that they do. It was definitely eye-opening. Doug and I have been digesting, no pun intended, what we saw there. That we know that there's some changes that need to be made and some efficiencies that can be gained as we all continue to work together to meet the needs of our most vulnerable. So I was really excited for that opportunity. So thank you, Brooks. Really appreciated that. You guys know we had the big cyber incident, cybersecurity. Our team met that demand head on. Thank you, Jake. Scott, I see you guys are on there. We are very fortunate, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. We have probably the best IT team in the state of Nevada. And I'm worried that someone might try to poach them because they are so good and what they do. But they brought that up. You know, we never missed a beat, guys. We kept working, and it was all because of them. But we're pretty much back 100% operational. Now we're trying to, Doug can just figure out how to get some of these contracts done for us and get things done. I don't know what to keep him around for. I'm working on it. Brooke, you mentioned the food insecurity and what the governor's office did is we, you know, kind of Operation Feed Nevada, if you will. And we're proud of the role we played in that. So I mentioned yesterday, and I'll say it again in here, I mentioned it in all staff meeting, I'll say it for the board. We're the only state agency that can take general fund state dollars and feed people. We're it statutorily. So while we don't run SNAP, we don't run WIC, it was up to us to try to figure out how we're going to push the food out. And they came to us and said, what can you do? Kathy and her team were amazing. It was the war room. We got together. What do we have for dollars? What do we have that we can deobligate from some of these programs that haven't spent, aren't going to spend? And we were able to package that money up, get it over to the Board of Examiners, get it to the Interim Finance Committee, and push that money out to 3 Square. I think I saw Jeff jump online at some point, Mr. Duncan as well, and then the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. And just for an understanding for you guys, the state of Nevada benefits average $3 million a day for SNAP. $3 million a day. We came up with about $9 million. Not real good at math because I went to Eureka High School. That's 3 days. If we were truly trying to match that, well, the work that these guys do, that $9 million worth of food that we were able to help these guys procure, get it shipped in and pushed out while it was only 3 days worth of SNAP benefits, it fed a lot of people. And it is continuing to feed people. And we had our warehouse grand opening yesterday. Many of you were there for that, but you notice it was full of food. And we did that intentionally. We had the space and we want to be that partner. So we made that available. We had the National Guard folks in there that were working alongside our staff and alongside staff of 3 Square, helping get that food in, repackaged, and out to Brooke and out to those community partners. And we will continue to remain engaged in that as long as we need to. We will start receiving USDA food at that warehouse in the next few weeks. Jeff and I met yesterday. We're aware of that. We've got to turn that warehouse over. So their stuff will go out. We'll start receiving our food in for our programs that we run every day, regardless of if we had a shutdown or there was a need for other people. And then, you know, our space will be available here at St. Louis. If they need to receive stuff here, by all means, let's bring it here. We're partners in this together. The governor's made that clear. And I'm making it clear again today on the record. We're going to continue to be partners. We'll continue to do what we need to do. Any space we can, any assets we have that you need, that's what they're here for. And we will continue to do that. We are continuing to work closely with RSCDA and other partners in negotiating a management agreement for the state fairgrounds in Reno. The state fair is coming back. Tentative dates right now are the 10th to the 14th, which will roll right in behind that to the Reno Rodeo, Nevada Junior Livestock Show, FFA, 4-H, Ag Foundation, Reno Rodeo. They're all partners in that. We met with Farm Bureau last week. We have a call again later today with Next Generation Bull Riding, who is affiliated with the PBR. They would like to bring an event to that fair as well, to our fair for performance. So we're pretty excited about the momentum we have there. Sorry, Sierra, but we are. And since she told me I was nuts, we were going to try to pull off a fair that quick, but we're going to get it done. Yesterday, I acknowledged them. I'll acknowledge them here for the board. There's 3 ladies in our office that are working their tails off to make this happen. It's Juliana, Monica, and Sierra. Without them, Doug and I'd be out there with those little ponies that you used to see in front of a Kmart that you put a quarter in. That's what we would have for your fair. That's about our understanding of how event planning goes. But they told us that was unacceptable, so they're doing a better job and they're wrangling people and getting this done. So thank you 3, and you board should be awful proud of the staff that we have, not just them, but everybody, and how hard everybody's been working on that. Some other very exciting news. We did receive our agreement from the USDA FSIS, and we now have an official state meat and poultry inspection program in the state. So when we talk about where's it going, where's it coming from, it's here. And it's finally here. We have inspectors out working We have 3 dedicated to this program in addition to the staff that Chad and Bob Rager have, and I'll let them give an update on that. Our environmental health team, they're out there inspecting his facilities. Stamps are ordered, equipment's ordered, and you will be seeing this very soon. We did learn yesterday from Secretary Rollins and her team that there's, the product of the USA labeling and some of that change that's coming on. So we want to make sure that we're in alignment with that. So what our packaging will look like, it'll be Nevada beef, it'll be Nevada lamb, it'll be Nevada poultry, but we're going to make sure it has that product of the USA on there as well, and we're compliant with that. If you want to know for sure that you're American made, buy Nevada. I promise you it's going to be Nevada beef. And we've got some producers that are ready. They're working with feedlots that are taking these to finish right now. And so it is going to be a closed loop finally in the state of Nevada. There's a bill working its way through Congress. We are supportive of it, the PRIME Act, that will allow the sale across state borders of state inspected meat as well in limited quantities. So it won't just have to be in the state. We'll be able to shift this out of the state. And so we're very hopeful that that's going to happen as well. And I think you'll see some capital start flowing into the state of Nevada to put a mid-sized packing plant of some kind in here. And that's what it's really going to take. Other than that, just kind of business as usual, guys. Lots of cabinet meetings. There's been no shortage of meetings, obviously. I did participate in that special session. I was told to do so, and I was more than happy to, because I always believe if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And so anytime they're talking about food and money, it's going to come to us. And I wanted to make sure we were there. We had no impacts seen as a result of that special session. And like I told our staff yesterday, sometimes the best offense is a good defense. So I played defense down there for that entire time, and we came out of there in good shape. So no impacts there. There was some money set aside for the College of Agriculture. So they will be building a new life sciences building at University of Nevada, Reno. I was supportive of that, having been one of those students. And so was Dr. Rolfe that attended Fleischmann Ag. It was overdue 30 years ago for replacement, and it hasn't got any better. So we're excited for that. That will benefit our pre-vet students, nursing, med, biochem, all of that in that building. I'm going to let a little secret out, and that is that in week after next, I will be going to Texas Tech University to look at their vet school and their admission program. They are interviewing their students down there that week. I've been invited to go down and see what that looks like and to tour that school. There's a lot of momentum right now to actually have a public veterinary school in the state of Nevada get off the ground. And I am doing everything I can, Dr. Shank, to see that if that can happen, it will happen. We need veterinarians in the worst way, and we can grow our own. And we just got to make sure we get the right students, those right kids into that program. I think Texas Tech does a wonderful job. They just received their full accreditation. Their dean, Guy Lonergan, him and I went to vet school together at CSU. He was ahead of me a little ways, but he is doing a wonderful job down there. So we're going to go down and take a look at that and see if we can't continue to build on this momentum. While Utah State is filling a void right now to a certain degree, we're not going to keep up with 7 vets a year, especially with our expanding population and our continued threat of foreign animal disease and other diseases. So I'm working very closely with President Sandoval on that as well at UNR and see if we can get something done. One other thing of note for our row crop guys, I am working with Dieter in the governor's office. We did have a little bit of a snafu on some H-2A visa wage stuff, but we are working our way through that. And we want to make sure we don't see adverse effects as those contracts start rolling out after the first of the year for our employers that use so many of those H-2A visa workers. We want to make sure those workers have what they need and we're not having a negative economic impact. Things to keep your guys' eye on. We did send out 446, NAC 446. We got a lot of feedback. Thank you, Debbie, for a very thorough review. I want to call you out specifically. You did a good job. Mr. Parrish called me and said, "What the hell is this kind of homework you're sending me?" What the hell these things mean? I didn't know what they meant either, Pete. I was hoping you could tell me what those chapters meant. But we are, guys, that's the next step. So that's where we're going to be going from here. I'll let Chad and Pete talk about an adoption hearing we had yesterday on some regs. Megan's had a couple. We're going to go to Ledge Commission week after next on one of those to get that finalized. and then we'll go with 571, but right behind that's going to be this 446 and our health, and bringing all that authority to you guys that used to reside with the Board of Health. And so that's going to, you guys will see that in our March meeting. We will be starting down that workshop process. And with that, I'll stop for questions, comments, or anything you guys, questions, something I didn't touch on, something I need to do, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. Okay.
Where does the cottage food and the cottage cosmetics come into play? Where are we with that?
So that will be part of 446 as well, that rewrite. And that bill was very clear. That's not going to affect until January of 27. July 1 of 27. So they gave us the enabling language to start through the regulations and to set fees and that kind of thing, but we can't do anything for another 18 months.
Okay.
So that's what the delay is there. We're not purposely delaying that. Obviously, that's what it said. And I'll tell you, and I like a challenge, and I know Doug does too. I think part of that was some of them said, let's just get them there and let's just see if they don't fall on their face before they get there. We're not going to fall on our face. So we're going to have that program built and ready to go by July 1 of 27, but that's where that is. Other questions? Anything else? Okay.
Doctor, thank you very much. Administrator Balkin.
Good afternoon, Kathy Malkin.
It's morning, yeah.
Huh?
It's morning.
Oh. Did not, did you?
Just because you didn't go to bed and partied all night doesn't mean it's afternoon.
All right, good morning. Kathy Malkin, Administrator of Administrative Services for the record. All right, some pending matters of significance. As Director Goycochea mentioned, the Nevada State Fair planning is underway. Some of the partnership activities that we have had, we have held 2 fundraising events for the State Fair with the Nevada Wolfpack. Some communications, as I'm sure Dr. Rolfe and Administrator Sustanovich will talk about later on. We had our new state entomologist start, and public records request, 62 public records requests have been received and 53 have been processed. We had Melissa and Monique attend 3 school events in Churchill, Lyon, and Elko counties, reaching 1,800 students. And then as far as some fiscal stuff goes, we continue to operate all fiscal operations during the government shutdown. We did get creative and were able to make all of our payments on time and continue keeping stuff rolling. And we are beginning next in January, but in December, we are starting to work on our next biennium budget build, which will begin in January. So we will be building our budget for the next biennium of 28 and 29. And then I will be doing a quick presentation on the Animal Division budget account 4470, which houses our dairy fund as well as our new food safety division that came over from this past legislation from Health and Human Services.
So while Kathy's pulling that up, so somebody look around, when she said we had Melissa and Monique. So for those of you that don't know, those are mechanical milking cows. And we take them into our schools and to a lot of events, and they're actually a pretty big success. Even Deputy Administrator Rager was very impressed with Melissa when we had her stood up at the tailgate party. He was over there handing out coloring books to all the little kids so you fill them up with water, and then those kids can actually milk those cows. And they do vocalize. That means moo, Doug. They do moo from time to time too. So it's a lot of fun for those kids. They're actually in control. Okay.
All right. So starting, they have a small portion of federal funds as well as some fees that go into some of the revenue collected and through dairy assessment licenses and fees and inspection fees. starting with some of their revenue. As you can see here from 23, 24, and 25, some of the appropriations that were made, you can see like the 1.3, the 1.9, the 2.6, and then the big jump in 26 here for the 4.5. That is when we brought over food safety from HHS, we got a portion of that budget back. So that's where that jump comes from there. And as you can see in the revenue of, as you can see that some of the grants that they do have, and then all of the dairy assessments that they do collect here, along with their county reimbursements, and then some of the distributor fees and miscellaneous general fees, and some of their food safety contracts. So as you can see, anything not in 23, 24, and 25, and it's showing up just in 26, that is some of the new food safety section that has come over. And then moving over to expenditures, as you can see here with the budget, with the 700,000 in personnel, 800, and then the 2.5, we got that big jump for bringing that division over to the animal division. And then as you can see, just some in-state travel, the operating funds, some of the milk and shellfish equipment program, the dairy products, and then some expenditures spent in their training grants, and what they pay in cost allocations and reserves. And that's all I have. Questions?
Questions? Thank you. Administrator Sustanovich.
Chad Sustanovich, Administrator, Animal Industries for the record. I'll make it short. If you guys have this, if I miss anything, please ask questions. I'm gonna start out yesterday. We did have a adoption hearing. Pete presented it to the state quarantine officer. It went well, so we will keep moving forward there. We're just talking last night. This one is important to me from the industry side all the way to my position now. It's been important. There may be some pushback in places, but we're doing it for industry. I've talked about it before. The changes we made was, we didn't make a mandatory trick testing for the producers. It's going to be in these hot areas where they're having problems, and we will continue to make them test. It will be a 5-year deal where if there's a positive in that herd and contacts, they will be testing. So I'm happy for this. I'm excited about it, and we will move forward.
I'll just add, this is a long time overdue, and part of that is my fault probably, but I told Chad and Pete both last night, it'll be 10 years next month since I started on that set of regulations as a state veterinarian, and it took that long to finally get them adopted. But those guys over there brought it across the finish line finally, so it's way overdue, isn't it, Dr. Shank?
Okay, and with our food safety program coming over, we did inherit a really good team. They take it very seriously, and I'm glad we have them, and I'm glad we have their knowledge, because I didn't have that knowledge. Deputy Administrator Rhaegar has been working really well with them. They're getting it, they're going. They get the ground running, and happy to have them. We're still working with Nevada Health Authority. They lost a lot of people, and so we are still picking up the non-food inspections for them and sharing that. Hopefully that cooperative agreement, we can, in a year, they can handle it on their own, and we can take our side. But we're happy to keep that agreement going. Before I get into all of the programs, we all know there was an EHV outbreak. Pete can go into that a little bit more. I want to thank all of the staff that we have, not only in the animal industries, but JJ mentioned IT and a great team we have with them, and they got the entry permit system going because we required all horses coming for the NFR and all of the events that are going in Las Vegas. We required an entry permit, which we've never required an entry permit for horses that have been a health, and that is it. We're tracking these horses that are coming in. Las Vegas, Elko, Sparks, they're all been really busy with this. It's consumed a lot of time with just thousands of phone calls. And when I say thousands, I mean thousands of phone calls. So all of the staff have jumped in, helped. It doesn't matter what division. They get a phone call, they pass it on, and we've done a really good job doing that. Now, with the entry permits, it hasn't been open very long. We've already got thousands of entry permits that have come in for these horses coming to Las Vegas. So it's consumed a lot of time, and the team's done a really good job. And with that, just like our livestock enforcement, we have Lynn Lake sitting out there right now. He's been one, and not just Lynn, all of our agricultural police officers throughout the state, they're checking paperwork as people are coming to the state. So they're helping out tremendously with that. Lynn, I know he's watching the door right now for us, but he's wanting to be out there at the events checking paperwork. So our brand inspections, it's been a busy time of year. Right here, we did this report a couple weeks ago. The amount of animals, it's doubled since then, just because this time of year it's busy. Our inspectors, the staff, they've done a really good job getting the closest inspector to do these inspections, trying to conserve as much as we can on mileage. As you can see in there, that's 83,000 miles that they performed just in the last couple of months. So they're putting the miles on, they're getting them done, and they're doing a really good job. Our pork program. One thing, every year we order DRC 1339 for wildlife services and our employees to put bait out for starling control for the dairies. Just got word yesterday, the main distribution plant in Pocatello, it is back ordered. We cannot get any. So we're working on what we have in reserves from last year, which is not very much. So it is a little concerning. Starlings, hopefully they're not near as big of a nuisance as normal, but it's something that I'm a little bit worried about. We can get it, and hopefully it's not a bad year. Been there. Go ahead.
To build on that just a little bit for Chad, so the dairy fund normally makes a purchase of $10,000 worth of 1339. And then our partners at Wildlife Services and our park employees put that out there. And the last few years, using my authority as the quarantine officer, we have found additional funding, and we purchased an additional 10,000 because we're just not keeping up with that amount. And so it is very concerning when we learned yesterday that the depot in Pocatello doesn't have any to offer us. So we're going to do the best we can, but that is the only product that we can use. So there's no alternative. We'll be doing a lot more hazing and the best we can, but let's hope we don't have a need, right, Dr. Rolfe? Because we know what that D11 variant of IPATH did when we got it introduced. So, okay.
Well, and I don't know how much Dr. Rolfe wants to do on the iPad, but I'm hopefully this year will be different, but we'll see. Veterinary service portion of it, I'll let Pete go here in a minute, but I do want to say we did. I mentioned last time Dr. Forbes had retired. We were able to hire a new veterinary diagnostician. She started in November, so she's fitting in. She's doing well, and we'll keep going forward. So that's comforting to have that position filled. Go ahead, Pete, with your vet net. Yeah, unless you guys have any questions right now for me.
Peter Rolfe, State Veterinarian for the record. Let's start with the easy thing. As I mentioned before by Dr. Chia, veterinary shortage. I did manage to secure an approval from USDA for 2 VLRP, both Dr. Shank for Lincoln and Lander County. Probably could push for a couple more, given that funding is pretty strong coming down from the federal government. It's an actionable thing from Secretary's office due to the shortage. So we do have those secure. We'll work on messaging to get those out to the students and the veterinarians with some partners so that veterinarians are aware that those two repayment programs are in place. That's about it for that on veterinary shortage. I guess the topic du jour is EHV1. We do not have EHV1 currently in Nevada, so we are not under an outbreak in our state. But the minute I caught word of that several weekends ago, coming out of the Texas barrel race, being in this industry for a long time, I realized we had to do something fast, knowing that we're going to have 8,000 to 10,000 horses congregating in Las Vegas for the next 2 weeks. So, like we said, the team was unbelievable. IT, everybody. I think we have to put in an entry permit program because we have to trace these horses just in case. Because if we happen to be unfortunate enough to have a positive horse in one of these events, it's going to be a matter of getting those horses home safely. And that's going to be work between myself and other state veterinarians I've been reaching out to say, can we look at the situation? Can we move these animals safely back and forth at home? Because otherwise people just scatter and the problem persists. So we need to get these horses moved safely at home. So that plan's sitting there. Hopefully we don't need to really use it. But the other thing we did for outreach was communicate with all of the organizers of the major events. As you might have heard, several have canceled. That was not due to us. That was merely their decision making to postpone and move those things, which in honesty helps us. It's less animals, it's less places Len and I have to be. And Len's been doing an outstanding job and jumping the bit. We've got good relationships with a lot of the big organizations from the NFR down to the other groups. So I've been going around with Len, do some more for the rest of the week while I'm here. I'm not picking out health papers, but I'm certainly talking to organizers and making sure they've got isolation facilities, temping horses, and the record keeping's good. So if we have an issue, we'll be sourced. So that's it. But like I said, we don't have a positive horse for HB1 in the state of that. So, but they have about 7 states that had cases, all falling back to that one barrel race. But if you know the rodeo people, they like to take things fast and run. And when they find out something's going on, then they really want to try to get in front of it, which is not always the right thing to do. Yes, like Chad said, we did hire Dr. Porco. I've kind of thrown her the wolves while I'm down here. So I'm having a lot of time, but she's doing a good job. We did have one tuberculosis trace, came out of Texas to one of our dairies. So government shut down. I didn't have very long, couldn't do much about that for indemnity purposes moving forward, but we got that herd test done with Dr. Porco and myself a week ago. So now we're just going to work that problem through. But like I said, it's a trace back from exposed animals that came into the area. Neoliberal screwworm, as Dr. Bokuchi said, I did put a plan in place. It's an action plan on levels based on, whether it enters the United States, enters a bordering state, enters Nevada. I still think it's a low to moderate threat for the state of Nevada. If you look at the life cycle of this insect, the majority of our state, we wouldn't have a problem over winter. These flies they're not going to overwinter if soil temperature is too cold. Doesn't mean the southern Nevada couldn't be affected. But that action plan will go in stages. Like I said, we'll ramp up as needed, depending on as a threat. If the threat comes and as it encroaches on us. To be honest, I'm not that worried about it. I think we can handle it. We can stop movements really easily and not let it get here. But like I said, it's going to be tough for that fly to establish itself in a breeding population in the state of Nevada. Maybe southern Nevada, yeah, but I think we can handle it by stopping movements. On a side note, yes, High Path has calmed down. It's migratory season. Everybody's going to say, well, our dairy cattle will be safe because they all had it. I don't know the answer to that. I hope there's herd immunity to some degree. I think there would be. But how long and how good, we don't know. So we'll do our best. We continue bulk tank testing. I've taken that out to once a month instead of doing it weekly. So we're testing 100% of our dairy cows once a month just to monitor for the disease, see if it pops back up again. I do have one investigation on a backyard flock in Clark County right now for High Path. Placing them under quarantine and waiting for confirmation from the national lab on that. So that's all I have. Okay. Oh. Administrator Hoppy.
Good morning, Tricia Hoppy, Administrator of the Division of Food and Nutrition, for the record. I too am going to keep it short, hopefully shorter than Chad. You have all the highlights here, the numbers of our programs that we regularly report on. I would just like to share with regard to the shutdown, to echo what Director Bokuchi said. We were really fortunate this time around with the shutdown because, as you know, we operate federal programs. That's the majority of our budget is federal funding. And we had one program that did not receive a portion of the funding, and it was the Senior Nutrition and Wellness Program that Brooks Organization is a regional distributing agency for here in Southern Nevada, and it was only the administrative funds, but it's the operations capital that our RDAs for that program use. And we have 3 of them across the state. There's another one in Elko, and then there's Food Bank in Northern Nevada, and no one missed a beat, even without that administrative funding. They did everything that they needed to do, and that program never stopped. So we really appreciate our partners for taking that on. With respect to Home Feeds Nevada, we have paused that program for now, although we did receive some general fund, as you know, from the last meeting when Director Gochia reported on that after Ledge, talking about that. As some of you saw yesterday, we have, just in Southern Nevada alone, we have a warehouse filled with food that our food banks are trying to get out across the state to all of our counties. So we don't want to burden them with additional food under Home Feeds Nevada that can't be moved. So as that gets moved, we'll get Home Feeds Nevada started at some point. I think that's the highlights of what I have in my report, unless anybody has any questions.
We've been meeting for a little while. I'll take a break, 10 minutes, but okay with everyone. You're welcome, Join. I'm used to it.
Oh, if I
Are we all set in our other locations? All present?
Yeah, I won't be one of those.
Looks like it.
Looks like Dave.
Location very wisely, knowing what lane.
Got you on it, Dave.
Forgot he's on.
Okay, we'd like to call on Administrator Brown this time.
Oh, no.
Sturgewski.
I'm sorry.
I know you didn't want to say the name.
I'm sorry. No, I've got it, phonically, I've got it here. I was gonna
You're like-
All right, for the record, Bill Strzewski, Administrator for the Division of Measurement Standards. As the others have said, you have my report. I'm just going to hit a couple of high points on that, if I may. In the pending matters of significance, at the current time, we have collected approximately 20,000 more in licensing and inspection fees than was projected in our budget for this year. That, arises from late fees that have been assessed and new devices. We don't expect it to go much higher than that. We worked through a late fee and notification process and late fee assessments over a series of months. And in fact, and we hold an administrative hearing each month for those who have reached a certain level, 180 days. So this month we will be holding the big one that are all the folks who were assessed on haven't paid up. And so that should resolve most of what is outstanding. Deputy Director Ferris is just thinking about the list he'll have to read at the end of the month. He's the governing officer for that. And yes, and then public waymaster and registered service agent licensing fees, and those are coming in. We expect most of those to be in by the end of this month and early in the coming year. Programmatically, I just want to say a couple of things. Our metrology program, we are very proud of it. The team does excellent work. They are respected regionally and nationally, and with good reason. And just to let you know, metrology labs need to be they need to be certified by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. And they recently submitted for their renewal there. They are also accredited by a secondary organization, the because I don't ever remember, but the National Voluntary Laboratory Accreditation Program. That is a higher level of accreditation, and yes, it is voluntary. Only about a third of the state labs in the U.S. are similarly accredited, so they're in some rarefied air. They're having their on-site assessment next week, which will take 4 days, and I know that last year they were pretty burned out by Thursday. I say all that just to mention that I believe in the September meeting, either the director or myself would have mentioned that 2 capital improvement projects for the measurement standards building in Sparks had been approved by the legislature. And one is to update the HVAC system, which is critically important to the metrology program. The other is to update the electrical system throughout the building, referred to as a museum piece. And that will cause some disruption to the metrology lab, but they are well ahead of the game, and they are establishing some limits and non-ideal conditions so that they can continue to do at least as much of the work that they have as they will be able to. Some of it will have to be farmed out to other labs, and our lab has been the recipient of other states who have gone through the same sort of process, but they are again well ahead of the game as far as that goes. In petroleum technology, Mackenzie touched on this, but yes, we had some great collaboration with ECAN in terms of AB 29. I'd also like to mention that Last time we met in September, Department of Agriculture hosting ECAN's board meeting was just upcoming. I'd like to say from the point of view of myself and the program manager for petroleum technology, we thought it was incredibly successful. We loved hosting you in the department, taking you back to our area and showing you what we do day to day and the equipment that we use to make that happen. And we hope that ECAN feels the same. And yes, and ECAN was a great partner in pushing out information as far as AB 29. We received a number of inquiries, but a lot of them were station owners who were concerned that they were going to have to make changes or updates at some expense. And, you know, we looked at some pictures or talked to them and you know, said, no, you guys are fine. You know, we want to just make sure that everybody's doing what you're doing. And so it's really quieted down now but that was successful. So that push out was really positive. And let's see. I can't get one without mentioning something about livestock scale inspections. And the season is completely completed now. Rechecks are done, southern inspections are done. As always, during this off period, we will continue to work on improving our communication with the industry and our scheduling for next year and ensuring that our equipment is ready to hit the road when the road's dry. And that is the end of my report. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Administrator Brown.
For the record, Megan Brown, Administrator, Plant Health Compliance Division. You also have my report. I'll give you some highlights. One of them is we are about to start the rulemaking process to align our state regulations with federal definitions for quote unquote acceptable THC and total THC, excuse me, so that they align with CFR language. And we're actually worked with LCB to ensure that we're citing CFR. So as CFR updates, we'll update and we'll always be in compliance. This is, these definitions are only related to the Nevada Department of Agriculture state plan and for certifying and testing raw hemp products. So this is not total THC related to other items that you may purchase or that are on the market that contain THC. And this will help allow us to comply with our state plan and federal law so that we can continue to implement our state hemp program. So in the coming weeks, we will be implementing that process, which will start with a small business impact survey that will go out, and then we'll start with the workshop and hearing process subsequently. And I will continue to update the department. In my board report is our number for those that are interested in looking up any details and answer any questions. As far as program updates, our crop program continues to support export and shipping point. However, we have seen a decrease in both our shipping point and export phytos this season, but we are available for needs of our growers. Our noxious weed program has continued to collaborate with the Forest Service and Washoe County related to Medusa head and goat grass projects. The noxious weed program has also secured some funding and is working with UNR on a Medusa head project in Northern Nevada, and will be supporting using drone technology for mapping to do aerial mapping of annual grasses and hoping that we can develop some Nevada specific mapping techniques and be able to survey lands more readily for our Medusa head vetnata and other annual grasses. Our plant pathology lab had a new detection of a rust disease. I'm not going to try to say the name of it, but it was detected in Swiss cheese plants in a nursery, and we have gone through the proper procedures related to the infected plants and detection and coordination with our federal partners. Our seed retailer and wholesale license is started in July of last year, and so we have one full calendar year So we have now total 360 licensed seed retailers and 8 wholesalers. We're continuing to work with both our nursery program and our entomology, and our pathology program for communication related to that and the standards related to that. Our native seed program has also seen another year of increase in applications for source identification as we see hopefully not only an increase in collection, but in native grow outs. In our entomology program, we hired our new entomologist. The division is working on reviewing some of the protocols. Our new entomologist has come from Texas and has extensive knowledge in kissing bugs and is working on protocols related to that. And so we're very thankful that he has good knowledge. And so we're putting together not only protocols for submissions, but communications to the public related to kissing bugs. Our entomologist is also starting the process of updating our Nevada pollinator protection plan. And so we'll coordinate with that once he's finished reviewing the previous one, but the last one was done in 2016. So it's time, and we're really excited. We're going to be including hopefully researchers, beekeepers, land managers, and our agricultural producers in that sort of roundtable development. We also, as mentioned during updates, did find red-reported fire ant here down in Las Vegas. We worked with our APHIS partners and have had an eradication program complete, as well as we're continuing survey, but the delineation has worked. And we have seen no more detections at that facility. We have also continued to work with our nursery inspections. Those notes are there as far as how many we have done. Licensing activities have been very busy, both in the north and south. We've seen a huge increase in the north. We proctored 603 exams this quarter, which is quite extensive. And so really appreciate the coordination that we've had with our partners. We are working, as the director said, December 17th, we have our legislative commission meeting where we will be certifying or being able to have implementation of 2 NAC 555 chapters. One of those is the trainee, and the other one is for the wood destroying pest forms. And so we hope to have implementation of those after that December 17th meeting. And one industry impact of note is, and I believe Ray mentioned this at the previous meeting, but the division is making changes related to our producer certificate inspection scheduling, and also working on implementing our current regulations for reinspection fees. So what we're trying to do is to meet the food safety needs from a consumer perspective, but also ensure that we're not being burdensome in our regulations in inspections. And so this is the new schedule. Fruit and vegetable producers will be inspected every 2 years after their first year of inspection. Egg producers will be inspected annually using virtual tools and a questionnaire. If things pop on either one of those, then we would actually do an on-site inspection. And honey producers will be inspected every 3 years, and we'll be working. The producer certificate program is housed out of our program, but we'll be using and training our entomology staff to be able to assist in the honey producer inspections, and hoping to have more resources available for honey producers from our entomology team. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Now, would you like to, sorry.
So one thing I want to add on, Megan mentioned hemp and, THC and everything else. And I didn't bring it up in my director's report, but I think I need to. Part of that continuing resolution that reopened the government also completely outlawed intoxicating hemp products. And that will go into effect in 365 days from the date of the passage of that continuing resolution. I say that because we are in the middle.
The door to the warehouse slammed shut. Sorry.
I say that because we're working on standing up a task force at the request of the governor with CCB, Cannabis Compliance Board, to go after these illicit hemp products now. I'm going to tell you guys that the smoke shops down here, Ray and Megan, have been instrumental in guiding us through this. But these smoke shops, convenience stores, et cetera, down here are marketing these intoxicating products. And I mean, the flavors are bubblegum. You know, who are they targeting? We know what they're targeting. And when I say intoxicating, some of these are 4 or 5 times the amount that you would find in marijuana, and they're synthetic cannabinoids, and it's a huge problem. I know that Officer Miller is extremely happy with me over this. He's our lead ag enforcement guy, but we're going to lead that task force because we have Cat 1 officers and the CCB has Cat 2s only. But we have got to do something. We've got to try to get these illegal products off the shelves and off our streets because they're in our school zones and they're everywhere. The governor and the attorney general are both saying the same thing. So you're going to hear some rumbles over the next 6 months about what are we doing. We will be going in. Our officers will be going in with other officers from other agencies, and we're going to be inspecting these products. And when they contain an intoxicating level, anything over 0.03, then we're going to tell them you got to pull it. We're going to issue them a citation, and then we will go back, and they will be on the shelf again, probably in a different package from a different manufacturer. That's the game they're playing. But guys, if we don't, Nevada's going to be a dumping ground. Because if we're not enforcing it over the next years, everybody's trying to offload all these products. They're going to be coming right here to Sin City, and we can't tolerate that. So I'm flagging that for you guys, and we will get it done. We don't have a big force, but we have 5 positions, 3 of which are filled. Chad's trying to open the remaining 2 now, so we'll have 5 for the entire state. And Jimmy Hum, Director Hum of CCB, only has 6. So we're going to have 11 folks trying to police this entire state, but we'll do the best we can. They do have light labs that we will take in. They have 1 down south here and 1 up north. And what those do, we put the product on the lab, and within 10 minutes, we know what it has in it for THC. And so there's not going to be an argument. But are we opening ourselves up a little bit? Maybe. Richard has been a huge asset. I don't know if he's still on there for us on our authority and what we can do there. But we don't have complete authority on that, and we know we don't. It wasn't conveyed, so health, that authority was left with the health department when they transferred their employees to us. So they are a third cooperator in this MOU that we're trying to get off the ground. We will see legislation in the next session to try to clean this up. What did I told Jimmy we were going to give it to him, right? In no uncertain terms. So we're going to try to give this back to CCB if they want it, because once it's intoxicating, it's theirs. Our work will stop at the edge of the field. That's what we do. But for right now, we're trying to be good partners and get this off the street. So I wanted to give you guys that update. Sorry, me.
No.
Touch on 10B.
Absolutely. Megan Brown, for the record, Administrator for Plant Health and Compliance. I'm going to give an overview, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ray, and he's going to share the screen to be able to go through some of the details. So as we've had increased coordination with our board members and in review of recent events, the department is working to enforce our current regulations within NAC to enforce permit requirements for the collection and removal of feral honeybees from the quarantine area pursuant to NAC 555.065. And Chairman, if it's okay, I'd like to go through the first one and then the second one, if that's okay. So the department in NAC 555, the department has the ability to create a permit to collect remove feral honeybees from the quarantine area. This permit is an annual permit. It's $15. And then for each collection, we will have a subsequent form that the entity that does have a permit to remove will be able to submit to the department. And in that form, it'll list where they're collecting the bees and where they're taking the bees. And so really what the intent of the department is, one is to enforce current NACs, but to have a little bit more knowledge and understanding about where people are collecting feral honeybees and ensuring that they have background insurance and capabilities to be able to do these collections, and that it's not somebody that is deciding to help their neighbor out or think that they're helping their neighbor out and collecting. Feral bees or Africanized bees are very highly agitated and can become a harm to the person collecting as well as in the adjacent area. And so what we're really trying to do is to ensure that we have knowledge and at the department and our know specifically also where these bees are going. So I'll turn it over to Ray. If anybody has any questions related to the NAC, we can go over those. But Ray, do you want to show the forms, draft forms that we have for collection, just so you guys are aware of kind of what we're looking at?
So this would be the annual form, Ray Saliga for the record. This would be a annual form, $15 permit application. Collect some basic information about experience, background from the beekeeper applicant who'd like to collect feral bees. Asks if they have general liability insurance that would cover these activities, as well as get some information about number of colonies annually collected, where the movement will be to in general. So submit this annually. It'll be reviewed by our state entomologist, and they'll be issued an annual permit. For each collection that they do, we have a risk disclosure statement form. This provides some information to the homeowner or landowner where the collection will occur. It's an agreement between, an understanding between the bee collector and the landowner. This will be submitted to the department for each collection. So it's notification that to the department, so we're aware of where each of these instances is occurring. We'll collect some basic information and requires that both the permit holder and the resident sign and have a copy.
All right, we'll move on to the second portion, which is the movement of honeybee colonies. So these are managed colonies pursuant to NAC 555.815. This NAC outlines managed colonies that are moving outside or front that are currently managed in the quarantine zone out of the quarantine zone. And so this is a certification from the department that the colonies that are being moved from the quarantine zone out of the quarantine zone are not Africanized.
For this, we have a notification of managed hive form. This will be required for the beekeeper who's moving a managed colony from within the quarantine to outside of the quarantine, notifying us that they intend to do so. The department is then required to issue a certificate for each of these colonies. The certificate is per movement. We will respond as timely manner. We can do this. No inspection is required. The certification can be made through inspections or by records, inspections, and interviews. So, for example, if the beekeeper has records of requeening, they have import permits from other states or any other relevant documentation, we can consider that in certifying this colony to ensure that the colonies are reasonably free of Africanization, while minimizing burden on industry, not have them waiting for an inspector to come to them whenever possible. We'll have a certification form that we issue. We can issue this virtually if the inspection is a virtual inspection, or on site, after that inspection occurs. It will list where the colonies are coming from and where they're going to, and they'll be able to, at their own discretion, bring this with the colonies to provide to wherever they're going. So they're leaving the state. This could assist in importing into that state.
So as after if approved today, the department will be hosting these on our website. We've also created an FAQ, which Ray will pull up as well. This FAQ kind of goes through the nuance of the difference between the permit for removal of feral honeybees versus a movement permit for managed colonies. And this will also be on our website. We'll be working with Sierra and our public relations to coordinate with our current listservs that we have, as well as our board members, to be able, this is a pretty nuanced thing. So it's a tight group of folks, but work to get communication out to the beekeeping community related to these activities, as well as our pest control licensing. Can you go back to the election? Well, we are also asking on this if they are a licensed pest control applicator. If you're collecting feral honeybees, you don't have to be a licensed applicator because you will not be doing pest control. You'll be taking the live bees. But we do know that there are some pest control companies that do collections versus control. So we're just trying to manage that a little bit as well. So we'll be making sure to communicate with the pest control companies as well. Questions? Yes.
I don't know if I'm allowed to ask, because I'm not the person, but the significant part of the bee relocations that we do are for HOAs. So if there's a homeowners association or a management company component to the permitting or the forms, that would be of concern. Instead of having a signature with me and a client, right? Something that I can pass around for an HOA board, or their agent can respond.
Okay. Yeah, we can go ahead, right?
Yeah, so in that case, it would be the HOA representative that you're working with would be the person.
So a question on this, David Rupp, for the record here. You're talking about collection of bees here, and so is swarm collection going to be the same as going out and collecting an established hive there that may be in a tree or somebody's house or in their car?
For the record, Megan Brown, Administrator, Division of Plant Health and Compliance. So this would be for any collection of designated feral bees, so wherever they are within the quarantine zone, which is Southern Nye County, Clark County. So yeah, so any swarm or collection wherever the bees are, the feral bees are.
So if they swarm here and you are tracking them, can you collect them without filling out this form because you know that they're yours? Or do you have to fill out the form and then submit it and then go catch them?
Grace Saliga for the record. So if it was a managed colony that swarmed and your colony, you'd like to collect it, they would not be considered feral bees. So you could collect those, reestablish them in their colony.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair. So these forms and this process is to protect, so I get a swarm of bees up in my tree. This gives me the ability to call. Is there gonna be a list of people that are certified, in other words, that do this? Or I can call this guy and say, hey, I got this swarm of bees that are right next to my house. They're really raising the heck of my animals and everything else. Is that the whole purpose of this, or?
Grace Saliga for the record. The purpose of this is to ensure communication. We will have a list of registered beekeepers who collect bees, and we already publish a list of pest control companies who are licensed to control bees. We can list that voluntarily on the website. Each person who's a registered beekeeper, if they would like to be listed, we can maintain a up-to-date list of those people.
So mostly it's just to keep a record of
and ensure public safety in collecting bees, to ensure the people that are doing these collections are properly trained, educated, hold insurance, and can do what you want
to if you didn't know what you were doing.
Your point.
There's cowboys out there. Any other questions?
You answered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, board may entertain a motion on this item. There's no motion. reverts back to what the intentions are.
Yeah, yes, please.
I'll move to approve.
Motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we'll now move on to 10C.
Megan Brown for the record, Administrator, Division of Plant Health Compliance. This is a request to expend $2,714.56 from the alfalfa seed research and promotion account, budget account 4554-10 to maintain Nevada's membership in the National Alfalfa and Forage Alliance and the Western Alfalfa Seed Growers Association pursuant to NRS 587.151. The department, through that authority, has the ability to collect 50 cents per pound of clean alfalfa seed. And I'm happy to provide a little bit of background related to yield and collections over the past couple of years if the board would find that helpful. So estimated, obviously based on production, on average, 400 to 700 clean pounds of alfalfa seed are produced in Nevada yearly. The assessment fees for the past couple years for FY25, it was $4,615.09. In 2024, it was $3,844.22. And FY23, it was $2,251.41, which is obviously based on production of that. In the past, there have been very few expenses in this account outside of membership within this fund and through NRS. The funds can be used to support alfalfa-based research initiatives that come from alfalfa growers. The most recent attempt was to expend funds on a proposed research project in the early stages of 2021 through UNR, but the Seed Association reviewed the proposals from UNR and ultimately decided not to move forward with those expenditures. Prior to that, it's probably been 9 years or so since ongoing research had happened at the university.
Any questions, comments? Our motion to approve the expenditure. Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Yep.
And Mr. Brown, I think we're done, all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Juliana, can you move us on to item number 11?
Yes, sir, public comment. As a reminder, anyone wishing to give public comment will have 3 minutes. Is there anyone from Las Vegas wishing to provide public comment? If there, please state your name for the record and proceed.
Hello, I'm Daniel Millett, just an operation manager for VMAS for Las Vegas. And most of what I have to say is just being grateful for the interaction from the board and from everybody that I've dealt with the Department of Ag for years. We've had a culture of open door and communication. We just had Jeff Knight, retired state entomologist, and he was awesome for us. We could text him and he'd text us an idea on a bug at 10 o'clock at night or something. And I'm not expecting that at all, but it was so convenient that in his spare time, he would still think about us. And we're grateful for that culture that generated his desire to just make sure our needs were met. The varroa mite decimated our industry with 2 guys that were just timed out, that had town sections and town sections of land that removed about 43% of the traveling bee pollinating industry. It disappeared because they just timed out and they sold their land. And so we had a major hit with our bee industry as far as pollinators for hire. And then with the varroa mite, it decimated the beekeeping industry. And I really, truly believe that these Africanized bees are godsend for having pollination and crop because they pollinate everything indiscriminately. They're not as refined taste for strawberry liking bees or orange liking bees. But the Tropopilus mite is just as dangerous. And of course, you guys are on top of that. But we're grateful for the diligence that you show, because for my complaint, that just the forms and the actions that you've taken, I've seen you guys respond to us publicly and administratively, and I'm again grateful for that. Let's see. Now, there's two people that I'd like to put on the map: Israel Alvara and Joe Margada. They were UNLV postgraduate students. They both graduated. I did hundreds and hundreds of presentations with them in schools for free. And they solved our colony collapse disorder issues with casino money backing. And that whole program got shut down because not as many people are using it at bees for research for cross-contamination and other things that were industry specific to the way bees interact similar to humans. But the only reason I say that is because two guys went over national records and figured out what herbicide, pesticide, and fungicides interacted to cause the weakening of the egg when they would travel and kill off our bees. And also they found out that it was a blueberry that. So most of all, I'm just grateful for the culture of openness, and I hope our new entomologist is that way. My military family still hasn't been paid yet. They're paid this month, but they didn't get their arrears. So we're really grateful for that food you provide.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one further left in Las Vegas for public comment, we will now take public comment in Sparks. Is there anyone for public comment in Sparks?
No.
Thank you. Seeing no one in Sparks, is there anyone in public comment in Elko?
Nobody here.
Thank you, sir. We will now take public comment from virtual attendees. If you are joining us virtually and wish to provide public comment, please raise your hand to be called upon. Seeing no hands raised, that concludes public comment.
And last item on the agenda is final roll call. All of those participants joined after the meeting of the initial roll call.
Thank you. And just for the record, put on the record, anyone who joined the meeting virtually after we began, that would be Cade Grogan, Deanna Kirk, and Doug Busselman. And that concludes final roll call.
Okay, thank you. Any other issues? Comments? I want to thank the Department of Agriculture for the opportunity, and we at this time want to wish everyone a wonderful holiday season. Very best of luck in your families. And that concludes our meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.